is really about giving you some tips that you can use to ideate together as a team. I hope everybody ate, you're not too hungry, and we're good. Um, I'm also trying to not make this session too long because I do want to create room for questions if you have any. But for today's session, we'll be really connecting the things that we discussed yesterday and show how we can, as a team, work together to come up with ideas. And I have some papers here that will be pretty much the source of our ideating. Because a lot of times it's just good to just sketch things down before we even start thinking about what it looks like on the internet, So if you have some papers with you, that's fine, but don't worry, I'll kind of just like be your scribe. So ideating, just to recap, yesterday we would have said that you have to get started by just being aligned, right? So as a team, we're aligned on the challenge, and the challenges are provided by the hackathon themselves. In this case, we would have gone through climate change as a particular challenge. And when you have your challenge as climate change, you may, as a team, decide on a very specific problem that you want to tackle, right? In this fictitious scenario, it's that parents are not aware of how climate change can impact their children, right? That's an example of a problem. And as you come up with your different problems, this is just mine, we all will have the different problems that we're trying to solve. It's important that we're just clear on the problem under the challenge so that we can write what our vision is like. Okay, if this is the problem, how will we address this problem with our vision? And just pulling back from last night's vision, following the same format, it would have been my idea, or our team is focusing on building something for parents who want their children to eat healthy food. My idea is a music video that uses popular songs to break down how food is impacted by climate change. My video will be short, familiar, and explain how parents can help to create a safer world for their children's food. And I did have some time to kind of add some more content to this vision. And sometimes that will be what happens when you're working with your team. So you'll have your draft vision and you probably sleep and wake up and you get some better ideas and you want to add it to your vision. Then your team can always tweak the vision between now and whenever you want to present. And so the key things that I did to firm up the vision is, one, really narrow down what the value proposition is, or the key benefit from yesterday's session, where in this case, the idea here is to use popular songs to break down how food is impacted by climate change. And that could be an idea that one person comes up with or the team come up with together. That will be just the one key thing that you want to do. When you decide on that, you may also want to have like a top 3 benefits of this idea. And so in this case, the benefit was that it was going to be short, it was going to be familiar, and it was going to explain how parents can help to create a safer world for their children's food, right? And so again, once you guys have your vision, you may want to then decide, okay, what is my goal? Like, why am I doing this? And just recapping from yesterday, one of the goals that I pulled out was that you're trying to get parents to donate, $10,000 to charity for climate change. This could be any number. It's really a matter of what are your ambitions? And I think in our first session, I talked about something called a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal, where if you're trying to figure out what is my objective or what is my goal, what am I trying to get done? Just go big. And if you don't get $10,000, if you get $1,000, that's fine too, right? But at least you have like this big goal that any team can say, when people watch my video, when people see my animation, when people see my photos, storyboard, they will be able to walk away with information on how to donate, or at the end of the day, they will be donating to a charity for climate change. So once you have all of that, you may want to start asking yourself some questions, right? And this is going to be the first aspect of your ideation. So you've decided on your vision, you decided on your goal. One of the main questions you may ask yourself is, what may cause us to fail. So we're trying to have this goal, we have this vision, but what are the things that might cause us to not work out? And you and your team can discuss that together, and make notes together. Since you're not in the same room, you may want to, for example, collaborate on a Google document or on stickies that was shared. You and your team can simply just create another sheet, call it failing, or anything that you want that you guys agree on. And all of you guys can just like write down your notes of what might cause us to fail, and let's get back to this. But it's really more important for you guys to start thinking, right? And this question will just ask you guys to start thinking. And two things that jumped out maybe is like, one, parents may not know how to donate, and parents might find it boring, right? And so the second you have your questions or the things that might cause you to fail, you want to change them into how might we statements. So how might we is simply, okay, we have these things that we need to consider when we're making our video. How might we make sure parents know how to donate? And how might we make it entertaining for parents, right? And you will have many how might we sessions. And again, it's just good for you guys to just talk together, share in the same room, write things down, because this will kind of inform how you ideate and how you solve problems going forward. So once you've done that, you're now ready for like the first activity in ideation. And this activity is a team activity called Lightning Demo, and it helps you to create mood boards for your idea, right? Tools that you can use to create mood boards, you can use, I'll have a list at the end of this session, but you can use a Google slide. You can use a Jamboard, and I'll show you how to use a Jamboard to create a mood board. But essentially, the mood board is really going to have you start looking out into the world to start see what exists, what ideas can you use to communicate what you have in your head. The reason why we use references or use things that already exist is because it may take a long time for you to actually draw exactly what you have in your head. So you have an idea, you're trying to get your team to understand it. Hey, I think this would be cool, but maybe you're not even an artist. Maybe you can't draw very well. And so what you show them is not necessarily a good representation of what you want. And so what you can do is start looking out on the internet, just Googling things that are like what you have in your head, things that you've seen that you say, it'd be cool if we did something like this, right? So how it works is you and your team, we're not in the same room anymore. So just imagine everybody's just at home. And you would have a Jamboard, and each person would get a chance to research things that reflect their idea. So if it is that we're doing a video, a music video that uses popular songs to break down how food is impacted by climate change, and it should be short, familiar, it should be fun and clear. You may have some ideas about, okay, this is kind of the type of video I want. We should use this type of art style. We should use that type of art style. If you have an art style in mind or a video in mind, look it up, Google it. And once you do that, YouTube or Pinterest are good sources to Google something. Once you do that, then you can start taking screenshots of the thing that you like. So maybe you are thinking about doing a animated movie or animated video, and you really like certain things in the Baby Shark video because it was so familiar to parents, right? And you could simply just in your time with your team, just go to the same video, and whatever it is about the video that you liked, you can pause it, you can take a screenshot of it, and I will show you some screenshotting tools, right? And you can go back to the Jamboard with your team and paste it. and then just like make a note of what it is about the video that you liked. Maybe it was the vibrant color. Maybe it was the simple art style. So, and your team, usually in like a session, you have a finite amount of time to do this. Like we usually do lighting demos like maybe like 20 minutes. So everybody gets like 20 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes to do their research. And then everybody gets like 3 minutes to present. What the presentation would mean is that you would essentially show the video to your team, and maybe you have several videos that you want to show to your team. You get 3 minutes to kind of present that with your team. And if it's a case where you can't take screenshots while making notes, somebody else on the team can take screenshots while you're talking about what it is that you like and make notes on your behalf. And they're just gonna be writing down the things that you point out and the things that you like about the video. And all that will come together to create what would be called a mood board. So everyone gets a chance to sit with their team. Everyone would get their own Jamboard page. Let me just move this into a different tab so it's easy. A different window, yeah. Yeah, everybody would get their own Jamboard page, and everybody can start putting together their own content and ideas that they like. And so it's just like a fast way for you all to just start putting together your ideas that will then start informing how you want your video to look, how you want your video to feel, what colors you want to use. So what you're looking at right here are some examples of some of my lightning demo Jamboards or mood boards that I did for a video that I was working on. And essentially my goal was to just introduce my music to an audience, and we wanted to find quick ways to communicate what we wanted that to feel like. So I will pause here and I'll open to questions about mood boarding, because I want this session to be like very interactive as we go from area to area. So if anyone has any questions right now about mood boarding or about what I just said, I'd love to hear them so that we can talk about them. So I'll have you guys think about them and type them up. But feel free to drop questions in the meantime. So that's the first, so that's the first activity that you and your team can do to start ideating, which is just doing lightning demos with your team to start creating your mood board. And your mood board will inform to the rest of your team what are some of the ideas that you have, so that when you guys are collaborating, you can use this mood board to quickly communicate what it is that you would like for your own idea. So there is a slide missing. So once you have done your mood boarding, the next thing or the next ideation idea or that you and your team can do is to start working on your own idea. So you would have communicated to the team, okay, these are some ideas that I have in my head, and you would create a lightning demo and everybody would be able to share their own mood boards. And so now you will have a visual representation of what everybody is thinking. And that allows you to do this activity that is called 4-part sketching. And 4-part sketching happens in 4 phases. 1, note-taking, 2, doodling, 3, crazy 8s, and 4, solution sketching. And in the first session called note-taking, you're really taking about 20 minutes to just look at everything that you've done so far. So you're going to revisit your vision, you're going to revisit your how might we's, you're going to revisit all the ideas that your team would have mood boarded, and you're going to start just making notes, like literally just writing down your ideas. And so you're not even sketching or doing anything or editing any video just yet. You're really just writing down ideas that you have. You know, I want it to be animated. It should be goofy, just like different ideas that you have. We want to use these 10 songs in the music video, like just different ideas that you may have. And you take 20 minutes, just like write down those ideas. And you don't have to worry about sharing these notes with anybody just yet. You're really just doing it amongst yourself. And it's good if somebody on the team is keeping note of the time, so that once that 20 minutes is up, the person can move to the next phase, which is doodling. So now you have your notes, and you would have probably, outside of while you were writing down your ideas, you probably would have come up with something that you really want to explore a bit more, you want to kind of look into a bit further, and you kind of want to, you know, visualize what that would look like. If you're doing an animated video, what would that look like? This is where you get to just doodle. Just if it's a stickman, you get to kind of just draw out the different scenes that you have in your head. Look at your notes, look at where you want to start, and can like draw out different scenes. And you just take 20 minutes, just draw different ideas, different scenes that you might be thinking about, in terms of figuring out what do you want your story to be, what do you want your video to be. And everybody again does that individually, and this is really a fast way for you to start getting out your ideas on paper quickly before you start like putting them in a tool with your team. I'll pause and see if there were any questions that came up. Let's see, chat. No, I'm not seeing any questions.
Yeah, you're good,
okay.
You're good. Yeah.
All right. I also want to check in.
Maybe we just ask for a thumbs up, Manit.
Yeah,
I
was about to do that.
Just
I was about to do that.
Sorry, go ahead, Manit. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, as Bridget said, I'd love to also know if we're all following with a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If you're confused, please let me know. I'll be looking. I'm not sure if there is any response. Are we online?
Yeah, you got 4 thumbs up.
Oh, okay. Okay. Maybe I'm not looking at the right place. Okay, I'm seeing them now. All right, thank you. So yeah. So these are the first 2 like ideation tips. Like you take notes, you really write down what it is that you have in mind for your idea, and you start doodling, you know, from your lightning demos, from your, you know, videos. Maybe you want to do your own version of this. You start sketching out what it is that you have in mind. The third activity here, once that 40 minutes is up, is something called Crazy Eights. And this is for, it's an optional activity. It's if it's a case where there are different versions of something that you have in mind, or maybe you have a story that you want to tell. Crazy Eights asks you to take a piece of paper, right, like this. It's best if it's like a legal sheet of paper. And you fold it in half 4 times. So let me kind of share my camera. All right, so you take a sheet of paper. You fold it in half.
Manit, you're still in share screen mode. You're still in share screen mode.
Oh, okay, let me see. How about now? Can you see me?
Yeah, we see you now.
All right, cool. So you take a piece of paper, you fold it in half like this, a full sheet of paper, fold it in half again. You fold it in half again. All right, and when you unfold it, you should have these different panels on the paper. And Crazy Eights, what it is an exercise where if it is that you have an idea for a story that you want to tell, you have 8 minutes to fill out this sheet with that idea. And sometimes you can do it once or twice or 3 times, depending on how many times that you have. But essentially, each of these, you have to draw out your scene in a minute. And so if it's a case where you have one scene that you have different ideas for, you can take a minute to draw it here, take a minute to redraw it, and you do that 8 times to see how many different ways you can come up with your scene. So you can either do it by telling out a full story, or maybe you have one thing in your mind that you're trying to figure out different ways for it to be done. You can use this sheet of paper with your team to kind of get different ideas out on paper, sketching them. And that is a way for you to kind of rapidly not overthink the idea, but at the same time getting it down on paper. So it's a tip. So if you're ever stuck and you and your team are even trying to find different ways to tell a particular story, a crazy 8 is a good way to just like do it on paper, write it, draw it out, sketch it out really quickly. You get a minute each time, and you get to share it at a later time with your team, but it's for you to kind of find different ideas, different ways to get your thoughts out on paper. And it's very fun to do with your team as well, to see kind of like the different things that you guys come up with. And again, what makes it interesting is that you're all already aligned on the same goal. You already know what your vision is. So you're really crazy-ating around ideas based on that vision that you guys had as a team. If it's a case where you have a story, I remember mentioning the log line yesterday. The log line may be the story that you want to use to tell using Crazy 8s. But if Crazy 8s is not the process that helps, then a traditional storyboarding is what I would recommend next. And I'll walk through how storyboarding works. But I'll pause again and ask, one, if we're clear, thumbs up if we're clear on the exercise, and also thumbs up or thumbs down, or you can ask me a question directly if it is that you have a question. So
Thank
first
you,
one.
Victoria. So Victoria is showing a thumbs up. Shiranta, Ashley, Amoya Lee, thank you. Jaline, thank you. Sherry-Ann, thank you. Excellent. Ria, we see you. Okay, I think you're good. You're good, Manine. I don't see any thumbs down, so I'm assuming everybody else is good, but just didn't want to use the icon.
Okay. All right. So the other part of 4-part sketching is something that we call solution sketching. And this is the part where we would have done notes and would have done ideating and we've done Crazy 8s. And we're now at the point where we want to share our ideas with our team. And that happens in the 4th section, which is 4-part sketching. So you'd have looked back on your Crazy 8s, you'd have looked back on your ideas that you were drawing out, you look back at your notes, at your lightning demos, and you're now ready to put together a solution or an idea to your team. What that would look like is you want to take 3 panels or 3 sheets of paper, and you want to take each sheet of paper to kind of summarize your story. How does it start? What's in the middle? How does it end? Right? And it's really just, you're just summarizing. And so I know it may feel as if there is not enough space to like really explain the idea that you have in your head, but we want you to start with just 3 sheets of paper and try to create like a high-level version of your story. It's quick and it allows you to communicate the main essence of your idea. So we usually take about 30 to 40 minutes to do that. Sometimes we can take an hour, but no more than an hour for you and your team as individuals. Everybody will get 3 sheets of paper and they will just draw how does your story start, or what do you imagine it to begin with. Let's just see. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you take 3 sheets of paper, and you're really just drawing. How does it start? What happens in the middle? How does it end? Right? And once you've done that, you and your team will take a photo of your sketch, and you want to paste it on your Jamboard. Right? So I can show you an example of what that looks like. Mm. In the interest of time, I'll just jump to the one I have here. Yeah. And so pretty much it could just be, this could be your drawing. You take a sketch of how it opens. You paste it on a Jamboard. What's the middle piece? You paste it on a Jamboard. And what's the end piece? And you paste it on a Jamboard. In practice, if it is that you're doing it on paper, you're really just taking photos of each sheet and then either emailing them to yourself and copying and pasting them onto your Jamboard or onto your Google Drive, whatever you use, where you're copying and pasting your different pages. And for context, you want to make notes to explain as best as possible what is happening. So if it's a case where you want to open, because you don't have a lot of sketches, you can use notes to just really explain as best as possible what is happening in each scene. So if it's a story about a person who found a plant, it's you can start by just really making as much notes as possible about how it opens up, what's the middle piece, and how it ends, right? And everybody gets an hour to do that, or 30 minutes, depending on how fast you are. And the goal really is to get as many different ideas from the team as possible about how it could end, how it could start, how your story could end, what happens in the middle. Because the goal is for you to start merging your ideas as a team, right? So how does merging works? Merging works in this activity that we call art gallery. And so everyone would have their 3 ideas, right, with their notes on their Jamboard. And how it works is that the team will look at everybody's idea and use the Jamboard feature to draw a dot on the things that they like. And you can draw as many dots as you'd like to say, hey, I really like this. And you can make a note of why you like it, right? And everybody gets a chance to do this. So putting in practice, it will start by saying, hey, this is Manin's drawing. And in silence, people just look around based on the notes that are on the page. Everyone can indicate that they like this panel, or they like this panel, or they like that panel by drawing a dot on it. And you can draw a dot on all the panels. Once that's done, you will just simply count up the panels that have the most dots, and you can use that as a guidance to say, okay, these are the really good ideas from the team. This is kind of what we want to use to start. And these are some of the ideas that we can probably come back to or merge into the overall video, or the overall video concept that I have in mind. Does that make sense? I'm going to turn to the participants to see the thumbs up or thumbs down if we're kind of clear how this works. Thumbs up. Okay. So essentially what you're using this to do, so you're not even yet into storyboarding, but you're using this section to really get an idea
Hey,
of,
Manil, sorry to interrupt. Someone just said, can you please repeat? Maybe go back.
sure. Yes, yes. So I'll go back, I'll start from where you would have made your sketches, right? Your solution sketches. So you've done your notes, you've done your ideas, you've done your crazy eights, and now you're ready to propose some ideas to your team, right? To do that, everybody on the team could take would take 3 sheets of paper to really just break down their idea in terms of how it starts, what happens in the middle, and how it ends, right? And if it's a case where you're confused about how to come up with how it starts, you can go back to your vision about what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And if it is that if you're doing a story, then you can use your log line. And for those who don't remember what the log line was from yesterday, I will jump to one. The log line was the single sentence that captures the essence of your story's central conflict and ignites the reader's attention. And so are the audience's attention. So one example would be the one for the Lion King, Lion Cub, and future King Simba searches for his identity, his eagerness to please others, and penchant for testing his boundaries sometimes gets him into trouble. Or I did another one that I did for my music, which said, when the new girl seems to turn him down, a charismatic rude boy must dance his way into her heart or face the embarrassment of rejection. You can come up with your own log line if it is that you need an idea of what your story is about. This is something that you would have done when you and your team are aligning, and that can be your guidance. So when you have your log line, you will use that to say, okay, how does my story start? What happens in the middle? What happens in the end? And for context about the log line, you can rewatch the video from yesterday where I kind of go into detail like what the log line is when you use it, so that you can understand how that can help you contextualize your solution sketching, right? So when you've decided on how your story starts, what happens in the middle, and what happens in the end, you want to take a photo of it and go back to your Jamboard. And every person should get a sheet for themselves, a board for themselves, where they can paste their ideas, start, middle, end, right? And everybody will paste that into this document. And once all the team members have pasted their ideas into their Jamboard, we then take, if you need timing, I would say we take 10 minutes or, well, I'd say 20 minutes. Everybody can just go around and look at everybody's idea, even your own, look at everybody's idea and just draw dots on what it is that you like about the idea. And you can make a comment by pasting and say, I like the exclamation icon over his head. Also, the person, when they're making their sketches, if it is that your sketch doesn't explain the scenario enough, you can feel free to explain what this scene is about by making a note, so that somebody who comes can you read it and understand what it is that they're watching. Sargam, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but is this clear enough? Okay, great. So the goal of this is to get you to kind of see what the ideas are from the team and to get the team members to just start making their little notes and their votes on the different aspects of the ideas that they like. And the goal is for us to look at the ideas that have the most dots and start merging together our story. And that will become what we call our storyboarding. So I'll move on into the final piece of this ideation session with your team, which is called storyboarding. Before I move on, let's just recap. So far, you know your vision, you know your goal, you know your challenge. You also would have decided on a log line, if it's a case, or several different log lines. Your team members might have different log lines if it is a case that you were trying to tell a story, and now you're using these 4-part sketching sessions to get your ideas down on paper. So we started with lightning demo. So you have your log line, you have your idea, the first, and you want to start sharing your ideas with your team. On your Jamboard, you will go and research different examples of your idea and present that to your team. Somebody on the team will make notes, take screenshots of the things that you like and add it to the Jamboard. Once everybody presents their idea, we have the team recap everything that you've done so far, including the ideas that have been presented, and you start making notes about how you want to, what video you want to create or what project you want to do. And you start making notes about what you like from what you see, what ideas you have in your head. You do that for 20 minutes. You then start sketching out your ideas, start doodling the things that you like, and do that for 20 minutes. And if it's a case where you are trying to come up with different ways to do the same idea, a good exercise to do that is to use Crazy Eights to explore different versions of that idea. So you can use this to say, okay, maybe this is one version, this is the next version, maybe this is one version, this is another version. However you choose to do it, you have a minute to fill out the panel, draw out the panel with your story, and you're trying to do that as quickly as possible. And if you do it once and you want to do it again to firm up your idea, you can take another sheet of paper and you can do it maybe 2-3 times until you feel good about the ideas that you have in your head. I'd say no more than 2 times or 3 times if you're doing it as a team. If you're doing it individually, you can do it as many times as you want. Once you've come up with an idea or you've decided that, okay, I'm very comfortable with these ideas, you then create a solution sketch by summarizing it into 3 panels. You take photos of your summary and you paste it onto your Jamboard so that everybody can see them and make dots on the aspects that they like, right? And from there, the team can get a general understanding of what are the different ideas that the team has that we can merge to create our storyboard. How are you feeling? I hope our head isn't exploding with all this content, but you can always rewatch this. But you can give me a thumbs up if we're good, because I do want to jump into storyboarding, but I want to pause to also ask how much time do we have left for this session?
Hey, Maneen, I think we can go until 7:30.
Okay, everybody's brain still intact, not yet mushy. Thumbs up if your brain is not mushy. Thumbs down if your brain feel like it's exploding. All right. So I think we're good.
Yeah,
I refuse to comment.
Oh, your brain.
Kevin's brain is exploded, but you have to understand there is no creativity to his tech.
Okay.
Not true, right. Kevin. Not true. Not true.
So I'd say if it is that we're ideating as a team, take this to do this in a day. Like we'd stop here, go to sleep, maybe wake up, but we'd do this in a day. We wouldn't like immediately jump into storyboarding. We just probably take a day or 2 to come up with our vision, take another day to start doing our ideation and voting on our ideas, and then rest. and come back to storyboarding the next day. And when you come back to storyboarding, you have your different ideas in your Jamboard that you're referencing. That's when you go to your stickies board again. I think I already have it open, actually. To now start really putting some detail to your story, right? So how this works is you want to have your end goal on a card here. So you have decided on what your goal is. If it's to get parents to donate to climate change charity. If it's a case where you have a story, you may want to, you can also decide how your story ends, right? Or what your log line is. But I'll focus on just, you have your goal, this is your goal. Your storyboard will really explain or break down your ideas to getting to that goal, right? You would have already know how your idea starts. You already know how your idea ends, and you would already know what your middle piece is. So your objective is really to fill out how do you move from piece to piece, right? And in no more than 1, 2, 3, I'd say 6 cards. You want to start filling out how that story goes. So based on your solution sketch, based on your top 3, your solution sketch could probably start out with, let's see, I'll just make up a story. Guy goes out on a date. Guy dances with girl. Girl falls in love with guy, right? That could be one aspect of your story, where you're really just trying to figure out quickly, how do you fill in the blanks? Like what happens in between, right? In this context of parents donating to climate change, it could start with, if it's a music video, trying to not rush. You start again with how your story opens, just like starts. You decide on how it ends, which is goal, get parents to donate to a climate change charity. And you really want to just like fill out your story in these remaining 5 cards. And everybody on the team will get a chance to do that. So everybody on the team creates 5 cards, and they really try to tell their story in text, like how it starts and how it ends. Once everybody does that, the group will vote on which story they like the most, and they'll vote twice. They'll vote on their favorite, and they'll vote on their second favorite. How that works, how you vote, you simply drop your initial on the storyboard that you like. And those storyboards will be the ones based on which storyboard has the most votes. That storyboard will be the main storyboard that you use to tell your overall story, right? So that could be right, RTM. Now, once you have a storyboard, if it is that you have a tiebreaker, if 2 things are tied, then the team lead will just decide on the one that they would like to use to drive the main story. And And from there, you can go back to your Jamboard. Where is the Jamboard? Oh, here we go. You can go back to your Jamboard. You can look at everything that everyone has said, and you can start just copying and pasting the different stories or the different cards. Like just copy and paste the story that you guys decided on. Just copy each one. Over to your Jamboard. Right. Once you've copied all your cards over to Jamboard individually, and this could be, it doesn't have to be Jamboard, it could be a Google Sheets, but we're using Jamboard. You then use that storyboard text to start filling in as a team, starts filling in as a team the aspects of your solution sketch. And let me just jump to this. Right. The aspects of your solution sketch that matches up with the story that you guys have. So this would be you continuing to copy and paste each of your drawings over onto the story that you have. So for example, let's say we had so yeah, that looks like. Yeah, so for example, let's see here. Okay, I'm having some technical difficulties here. All right, let's scrap that disturb. Okay, let me stop sharing and resharing because my screen is freezing up. Now start over from here. I'll jump to. All right, so yeah, let me reshare my screen. Okay, good. All right, so let's take a step back. So storyboarding, you want to draw 6 cards onto Jamboard. Everybody will have their end goal and everybody will decide on how the story starts based on the starting point that had the most votes, right? From your Jamboard session here, right? So everybody just would have decided on a starting point and everybody starts the same way. Everybody would also have a middle and an end point. And so those middle and the end point would be incorporated in your story. Once you have that middle and end point, everybody gets to figure out how they want to fill in the middle, right? How do they want to fill in these blank pieces, right? And the person who has the best story based on the middle and end point, the team will vote, and that will be the story that the team uses to finish their storyboard. Once we have everything filled out, what the team can then do is create a Jamboard or a document and start sketching out the different pieces. So you'll have your, this is, I'm having difficulty sharing what I'm trying to share. So in the interest of time, what I would do here is share a follow-on video on storyboarding specifically so that you guys can actually follow this, because I can't explain what happens after you guys decide on a story because I think I'm having some technical difficulties. So Bridget, can you hear me?
Yes, Manine.
So this is what I would recommend. I will share with you and Kevin follow-on content in terms of creating the actual storyboard itself.
Nice.
So that the rest of the team, the girls, can actually have information on how to create the storyboard itself. At this point, we would have gone as far as figuring out how to come up with our ideas and sketch our ideas, as well as write down the foundation of a storyboard, which would be, again, everybody would have voted on how it starts. Everybody would have a middle piece that they like, and everybody would have an ending that they like. And so the rest is really writing out ideas around how the story flows. Once you do that, the next step would be to create the storyboard. And I can share content in terms of how that storyboard gets created based on the flow that the team would have created together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense to me. Can we get some thumbs up if that makes sense?